Carl introduces himself, arms crossed, saying he's a mercenary and asking if anyone here has even a clue where they've ended up. Lal steps forward and explains he used to run a woodshop in Adora, but when it comes to why they're here, he's got nothing. He admits he can't remember anything. Grit nervously shares his part. He says he worked in an antique store in Halcea, and, just like the others, he has no idea why they've all been dragged into this place. Jenna steps up and introduces herself, saying she'd been living out in a remote forest before suddenly ending up here. She's just as lost as everyone else, and has no clue what's happening. Han Yslat gives his name next. He keeps it short, says he's a farmer, and admits he's in the same boat as the rest. No memories, no explanation. The group tries to make sense of it all. 11 people, and not a single one knows why they were dragged here. They look around the massive structure looming over them, questioning if this is a dream, wondering what this place even is, and some are already frustrated because this should have been peak harvest season back home. The group starts tossing out wild theories, and one guy suggests they were dragged here by a magician. Carl immediately shuts him down, snapping at him not to say something that ridiculous. Another person tries to calm everyone, pointing out the only thing they actually know is that they're all from Tanir. He says they might find a clue if they just keep talking it out. Before anyone can continue, a sharp voice cuts in. A tiny girl with wings bursts into view, looking annoyed and full of energy. She tells them to stop wasting time because her master is about to open a space-time rift, and they'd better get ready to fight. The group freezes as the little fairy hovers between them, glowing and sparkling like an actual fantasy creature. The men closest to her stare in total shock, trying to figure out what they're even looking at. One of the men nervously asks who she is, and the fairy answers without hesitation. She introduces herself as Yslat, the one who manages this whole place, and warns them to stay in line unless they want to get hurt. Carl steps forward, pushing past the shock, demanding to know if she's the one who brought them here. Yslat doesn't back down. She hits him with a cold, dismissive question, asking why he even wants to know. Carl snaps. He grabs his weapon with clear anger, calling her out for kidnapping people. He's done being polite and says he's going to force the truth out of her. Yslat lets out a tired sigh, like she's already over this whole situation. She warns him calmly that if he doesn't want to die, he should really quit while he's ahead. Carl ignores the warning completely. He powers up, sword out, blue energy flaring around him. He mocks her, saying she sure talks big for something so tiny. Yslat lets out a frustrated breath, sounding more annoyed than scared. She mutters about why he has to make things difficult, as if this is the last thing she wants to deal with right now. Carl charges in without hesitation, sword raised, announcing he's going to teach the fairy some manners like he's the one in control here. His confidence vanishes in an instant. His eyes go wide, panic hitting him before he can even process what just happened. Yslat cuts him down faster than anyone can react. His body falls, blood splattering across the ground, and a cold system-like message declares his death. Mormont Carl, the mercenary, is already gone, remembered only as a fallen fighter. Carl's body hits the ground, lifeless, and the system delivers one last cold message. His death is written off as suicide from stress, like the world itself refuses to acknowledge what just happened. The rest of the group erupts in panic. Some scream, others stumble back in fear. One man lashes out at the others, shouting that this is exactly why he warned Carl to stop. If he'd listened, he wouldn't be dead right now. Yslat hovers over them with a twisted smile, her voice cutting through the chaos. She tells them clearly that anyone who touches her ends up a corpse, and calls it self-defense as if she's doing nothing wrong. The group fully breaks down now. People are screaming, backing away, pointing at Carl's body in disbelief. They demand answers from Yslat, asking what she's doing and why he had to die. She cuts through the panic with a blunt response, saying if they want anything, all they need to do is follow her orders, fight well, and win. Simple as that. A system prompt suddenly flashes into the air. It announces that a party is being formed and heroes can now be dragged and dropped into position, like they've all turned into game units. Names start slotting into the first party one after another as Yslat looks up, satisfied. She declares that her master has finally started operating, and the real scenario is about to begin. Yslat rockets forward, shouting for everyone to get ready as the fight is about to start whether they like it or not. She hovers above the ground and unleashes the command. The massive structure behind her reacts, and a space-time rift begins to crack open with a blinding blue glow. The rift tears apart completely, erupting in flashes of light and glitch-like energy, signaling that something is about to come through. Yslat calls out the first party members by name, and the group stiffens. The ones chosen freeze up, shocked and terrified, barely able to process what's happened. She gestures toward the glowing rift with a smug grin, telling them to walk through it unless they want to end up like Carl. The threat hangs in the air, and no one doubts she means it. Just as they hesitate, someone shouts for them to wait. The fairy snaps around instantly, irritation crackling around her as she reacts to the interruption. Han Yslat steps forward again, calm but firm. He tells Yslat that if she expects them to climb the tower, they at least need weapons. Right now, they're just one stars with nothing in their hands, and sending them through that rift like this is basically sending in a suicide squad. Jenna watches from the side, confused by the talk of the tower and wondering what any of this means. Han keeps pressing the point, reminding Yslat that a 2-star hero literally just died. The least she can do is give them something to survive with. Yslat pauses, glancing back at Carl's corpse as his stats flicker in the air. Even she can't ignore how weak they all are. She mutters that he has a point, finally reconsidering her approach. A system prompt finally responds, pointing out that the heroes have no equipment and suggesting a gear summon. Yslat jumps into action, tapping away at the interface as grids and symbols light up around her. The system announces a 10x equipment summon, and the results roll in one after another. Iron Sword, Crude Bow, Morning Star. The bare minimum, but at least something to keep them alive. One of the men turns to Han, asking if he really goes by that name and what he knows about this place. Han answers honestly, saying he hasn't been here long either. Jenna watches him carefully, surprised by how composed he is. He adds one simple thing he's figured out so far. You can die here if you're too slow. Han turns to the others and calmly tells them to grab a weapon while they still can. The fight's about to begin, and they won't get another heads up. Someone stammers behind him, clearly panicking. They ask what he means by start, and Han doesn't sugarcoat it. He just says it flat out. The battle. One guy loses it, shouting that he's never even been in a fight before, not even as a kid. But Han's already moving. His voice rings out again. Pick first, then panic later. Chaos breaks out at the weapon rack. People shove and snatch whatever they can grab, arguing over who touched what first. One guy yells that the weapon is his, clinging to it like his life depends on it. They finally manage to arm themselves, and the first 5 step forward with shaky determination. Even though they look terrified, they're at least holding weapons now, ready or not. As they approach the rift, someone notices Carl's body has vanished, leaving only the bloodstain behind. Before they can question it, Yslat snaps at them to shut up and orders the 5 selected members to get inside immediately. One of the chosen heroes reaches out and touches the glowing rift. The moment his hand makes contact, electricity bursts across the surface like he just poked a living stone. He recoils in shock, demanding to know what this thing is, while another person behind him panics. Yslat doesn't give them any sympathy. She just yells at them to quit stalling and get inside already. Meanwhile, away from the chaos, Han calmly inspects a crude wooden shield like he's browsing a market stall instead of standing in a death situation. Jenna watches him, stunned that he can stay so relaxed. She even wonders if she should have grabbed that shield for herself. Jenna corners Han with questions. She wants to know what's happening, why they need weapons, and what the fairy even is. Han doesn't give her a comforting speech. He tells her straight. All they have to do is enter the battlefield and kill whatever's inside. Everything else, they'll have to figure out on their own. Suddenly, a system message flashes overhead. One of the party members, Marilyn, has already died. Han mutters under his breath, and Jenna panics, asking what's wrong. More death notifications keep rolling in, one by one, The names of the other 4 party members pop up as return to the embrace of the goddess. Han stands there, shield in hand, taking it in. Jenna asks if that's why they were only rated 1 star, but Han just tells her to be quiet as he processes the situation. A harsh system alert drops. Party 1 has been completely wiped out. Han mutters about how fast it happened, and Yslat explodes in rage, screaming at the air like the fallen warriors personally offended her. A wipeout on the first floor is apparently unbelievable even to her. Yslat snaps back into command mode and calls out to everyone who's still alive, ordering them to step forward. Han quietly tells Jenna it's their turn now, while she nervously wonders why none of the earlier group has returned. An older man tries one last excuse, claiming he suddenly can't walk because of arthritis and begging to be left out. Jenna points out he was walking perfectly fine earlier, but he sticks to the lie. Yslat is done with it and just groans in frustration, calling them idiots under her breath. Jenna watches Han step forward without hesitation, and she hurries after him, not wanting to be left behind. She tries to pull the old man along, insisting they need to stick together if they want to survive. He keeps whining about his arthritis, while Yslat loses patience and screams at everyone to shut up and get ready. The others panic, clueless about what's coming, some admitting they've never even held a weapon before. Yslat gives a final shout of good luck as the portal crackles with energy. Han and the rest are pushed inside whether they're ready or not. One guy desperately tries to fake another excuse about stomach pain, but it's too late. The rift pulls them all in. Han steps forward first as the light fades, his boots hitting solid ground on the other side of the rift. Jenna and the others land behind him, looking around in awe. The place is nothing like the world they came from, vast, glowing, and impossibly ancient. They turn toward the structure towering over them. Someone whispers in confusion, trying to make sense of it. Another guesses it might be a temple, though none of them have ever seen anything like this before. Someone notices glowing text carved into the wall and points it out. The writing looks like some kind of system message or rule, hinting at what they're supposed to do here. A larger display activates in front of them, announcing the start of the main dungeon. It declares their current challenge as Floor 1 and flashes the message: climb the tower, save the world. The reality of the situation finally settles in. Before anyone can process it, the system warns that the door is opening. Han snaps into action immediately, yelling for everyone to wake up and get ready. Whatever's behind that door is already coming. The group rushes forward as the blinding light pours out from the opening door, weapons clenched and nerves stretched thin. Han takes the lead without hesitation, shield raised. The light fades into a warm horizon, wind brushing past them as golden feathers drift through the air. It's nothing like the dark stone chamber they just left behind. Everyone looks around in stunned disbelief. An open landscape stretches out before them, glowing like a sunset dream. For a moment, they almost forget they're in a deadly dungeon. But the unease on their faces shows they all know something is coming. One of the survivors stares at the strange landscape and asks what this place even is. Han steps forward, sword raised, eyes locked on something ahead. The answer rushes at them on all fours, goblins, snarling and armed, each tagged with a glowing LV.3 above their heads. The battlefield has arrived. Han doesn't flinch. He reminds them of what he said earlier. If they don't fight, they die. He tells them to focus, get their minds in the game, because the battle has already started. The moment the goblins appear, half the group completely loses it. They scream, drop their weapons, and sprint in the opposite direction. Jenna turns back, stunned, while Han just mutters in disbelief. Jenna yells at the old man who claimed he had arthritis earlier, calling him out as he sprints like an athlete. The system hits her with a brutal status debuff, announcing she's frightened and all her stats drop by 30%. Meanwhile, the old man shouts that his arthritis magically healed. The fleeing group doesn't get far. They're hit from behind and knocked to the ground, screaming in pain as the goblins close in. Their panic only makes them easier targets. Jenna slams her hand forward and flinches as it bounces off an invisible barrier. She stares in shock, blurting out that there's a wall blocking them. The three guys who ran ahead all smack into the same barrier and stumble back. One grabs his back, another panics, asking why he can't leave, and the third is whining that he needs to. The old man starts banging on the barrier, shouting in panic. He demands for it to be removed, completely losing his composure as the glowing wall holds firm around them. Han watches the others panic and run in circles, and he decides like he already expected this level of disaster. Jenna calls out to him, trying to get his attention before things spiral any further. She steps closer, trying to stay focused, and asks if beating the goblins is their ticket out of this place, hoping there's some kind of logic behind the madness. Han checks if she can actually shoot, and Jenna steps up quick, saying her dad was a hunter. She's ready. Han lays out the plan. He'll handle the front line while she supports from the back, and she agrees without hesitation. Jenna glances at the others, worried, but Han shuts it down immediately. He tells her not to waste a single thought on them since they're dead weight. A goblin lunges in with a nasty hiss, its jaws wide open, cutting off any chance for more talk as the fight kicks off. The goblins rush in from both sides, blades raised, snarling as they close the distance fast. Someone yells that they're coming, but it's already obvious. Han steadies himself, shield up, sword tight in his grip. In his head, he admits the truth. He's never actually used a sword before, never even held a shield like this. But there's no time to care. The goblins leap straight at him, screaming and swinging wildly. Their red eyes lock onto Han as the first real clash of the battle is about to happen. Han locks in, sweat running down his face, and finally admits it to himself. Han Yslat is just a name. Who he really is Han Yslat. Far away from the battlefield, something ancient and massive stirs behind sealed stone. The dungeon watches silently, like a god waiting to see who survives its first test. The name finally clicks. Pick me up. Not a fantasy world, not a dream. This is a mobile game loading up, connecting to servers like nothing's wrong. The rules flood back in. A 100-floor tower. You don't fight yourself. You manage heroes, build a base, gather materials, and clear stages using pure tactics and strategy. Han remembers the worst part. Just yesterday, he was living a normal life, casually checking event notices and login rewards on his phone, never imagining he'd end up dragged inside the game he used to play. Han's mind flashes back to yesterday. He sprawled on his couch, scrolling on his phone, reading about the Advent dungeon opening, and thinking the game finally got a real event worth playing. He remembers the brutal truth about the gacha. Heroes go from 1 star to 7 star, and no matter how many free pulls he burned through, luck never once smiled on him. He was stuck below 5 star every single time. Then comes the part that made Pick Me Up different from every other game. Death was permanent. No revives, no retries, no mercy. Once a hero died, that was it. Which is why everyone used disposable parties to scout dungeons first, even if it meant sending them to their deaths. Red warnings flood the screen all at once. Fear hits the entire party, and everyone's stats nosedive instantly like the system itself is punishing them for panicking. Han remembers how this usually goes. When heroes freak out, the smart move is to pull back and watch. You don't rush in, you study the boss, learn its patterns, and survive long enough to understand what you're up against. Then the real nightmare appears. A monster tagged level 999 stands there like a glitch that shouldn't exist. Even Han freezes for a second, staring at the name and wondering if this is a bug or if Floor 1 was never meant to be survivable at all. Han stares at the screen and convinces himself this has to be a system error. There's no way a Floor 1 boss should look like that. But reality hits immediately. The disposable party is wiped out before they can even see a single attack pattern. No data, no info, nothing learned at all. Then the thing moves. Red eyes lock on. A twisted grin spreads across its face, and it feels personal. The message is clear without a single system prompt. Whatever that monster is, it has noticed them. Han freezes as something feels off. His heart sinks when he realizes this isn't an attack pattern at all. This isn't how a boss is supposed to move. A single thought slams into his head. This shouldn't be happening. The game should have ended already. Everything cuts to black. Voices break out in panic as people shout that they can't see anything, and the battlefield disappears in an instant. Out of nowhere, a system window pops up saying a new account is being created. Han's completely thrown off, wondering what kind of account it's even talking about. Another prompt follows, asking him to choose a name with strict rules like it's a normal game setup screen. Confusion spreads fast as voices question what this thing even is. Before he can think it through, the system auto-fills a name. Whatever. It confirms the name is available and asks for approval. Han realizes it wasn't random at all. It literally pulled whatever straight from his thoughts. Before Han can stop it, the system hits yes on its own. He panics, realizing he's not typing anything. This thing is making choices for him. The screen welcomes him by name. Whatever. Officially logged into the world of Pick Me Up. Then another prompt appears, asking if he wants to play the tutorial and dangling a starter reward like bait. Han's eye sharpens instantly. Whatever this system is doing, it's real, it's active, and it just locked him into the game for good. Han blinks and realizes the battlefield has changed again. Fire everywhere, heat pressing in, sword still in his hand. This isn't a menu or a cutscene anymore. This is real. He senses something behind him and turns fast, tension snapping through his body like instinct finally kicking in. His eyes lock onto it. A goblin, right there in front of him, alive and snarling. A system message flickers nearby, and Han realizes this isn't just a flashback or a glitch. This is the tutorial starting, and the enemy is already in range. Han's thoughts spiral for a split second, panic clawing at him as he wonders if any of this is even real anymore. That doubt doesn't last. The goblin lunges straight at him, claws out, killing any illusion that this is a dream or a cutscene. Instinct takes over. Han raises his sword just in time and blocks the strike head-on, the impact rattling his arms as reality crashes down on him for good. Han grits his teeth and forces his body to move, barely holding the sword steady as sparks fly from the clash. His arms shake, but he doesn't let go. Pain explodes through him, and he lets out a rough breath, realizing this isn't some guided animation. Every hit hurts for real. Before the goblin can recover, Han swings back with everything he has. The blade cuts through the air in a wide arc, finally pushing the monster back and marking the start of his first real fight. Han throws everything he is into a desperate overhead strike, screaming as his body moves before his mind can catch up. The fight ends, but the feeling doesn't land the way he expects. The fact that he just killed another living thing refuses to fully register. Then the system cuts in anyway. Stage cleared, level up, rewards delivered like this was normal. Han walks forward alone, sword hanging loosely in his hand, breathing uneven. He looks around, confused and unsettled, wondering if this is still a game, or if he's already crossed into something else entirely. Han's eyes snap wide. That sharp jolt hits him. This feeling, he knows it. He looks around, and recognition crashes down hard. The architecture, the air, the vibe. It's the exact same place from the game. Panic finally spills over. Han yells out, realizing this isn't a screen anymore. He's actually inside Pick Me Up. Han freezes as the door explodes into blinding light. The air shifts, pressure crashing down like something massive just woke up on the other side. Golden light pours out, and a fully armored woman steps through, sword in hand, calm and overwhelming. This isn't a monster. This feels like a god-tier unit being deployed. Han stares at her, heart pounding, brain lagging behind reality. One thought finally lands. Was that a summon? Han freezes as it clicks. That wasn't a random teleport. He wasn't dragged here. He was called. Summoned. Like a character pulled straight out of the game. The Golden Knight looks at him calmly and confirms it. She was summoned too. Not by the world, but by a user playing Pick Me Up. This isn't a fantasy realm. It's a live game system. Han introduces himself properly this time. Han Seojin. The knight responds just as bluntly. Shay Radisteri. A knight. And the awkward silence makes one thing clear. Whatever this place is, neither of them has any control over it. Shay moves first. Clean, sharp, no hesitation. One swing, Then another, and the goblins don't even get a chance to react. Han's still yelling that it's his first time holding his sword, but she's already finished. The battlefield goes quiet. Goblin bodies scattered everywhere. Shay's standing calm in the center like this was nothing. Han watches from the side, realizing the gap isn't small. It's overwhelming. 3 stars versus 4 isn't even a fight. Just when it feels like the worst is over, the system cuts in. Tutorial cleared. Heroes finish their battle, and the final tutorial stage is waiting. That's when it hits him. The real problem hasn't even started yet. Han's mind snaps into panic. His teeth grit, sweat running down his face as the realization hits hard. This isn't a game screen anymore. This is him about to die. One thought cuts through everything else. He's screwed. A sharp voice slices through the chaos. Someone's calling out, loud and impatient, dragging his attention away from his spiral before he can freeze completely. The fairy floats into view. Grinning like this is all entertainment. She snaps at him to move already. The master is waiting, and hesitation isn't an option anymore. Han freezes for a second, staring at her with that blank, tired look. No reaction, no panic. Just silence, like his brain is buffering while everything she said sinks in. The fairy girl freaks out midair, flailing and shouting his name. She can't believe he knows who she is, and the moment she hears him say Yslat, she completely loses it, demanding how he knows her name and what he even is. She pulls out the book and flips it open, checking his profile in disbelief. Han answers flatly, saying his real name is Han Yslat, not Han Yslat. Yslat stares at the page, stunned, realizing something is seriously wrong. Yslat flips out while reading the book. The hero profile doesn't match him at all. Han snaps back, straight up says he's Han Yslat from Seoul, not whatever fantasy birthplace she's talking about, and tells her to send him back if she can. Yslat freezes, then blurts out that he came from Earth. Han fires back dry and annoyed, asking if she thinks he came from Mars instead. The mood goes awkward and tense real fast. Yslat suddenly screams like her brain short-circuited. Han grabs her to stop the meltdown, completely losing it himself, wondering how things spiraled this badly in just a few minutes. Yslat completely loses it and screams at Han to just go in already, while Han fires back that he'll literally die if he does. Before Han can argue anymore, he gets shoved forward mid-panic and goes flying straight into the arena. Han crashes on the ground, stunned, and the knight looks down at him in silence, already annoyed by the noise. Han suddenly feels something wrong. His hands light up blue, like energy is crawling over his skin. He hasn't done anything, but whatever this is, it just activated on its own. The realization hits him hard. He panics as the blue energy surges faster, wrapping around his body. The system already started. There's no cancel button, no warning, just force. The explanation drops. Synthesis. 2 heroes are being combined. One gets stronger, the other gets used up, and Han instantly understands the problem. He's one of the materials. Han realizes the nightmare setup. He's a 1-star. Shay is a 4-star knight. If someone uses synthesis, she dies and he survives. No normal player would ever make that choice. Panic hits him hard. The blue energy starts surging, and he finally understands what's about to happen. This is how he dies. Who in their right mind would fuse a 4-star into a 1-star? Then something snaps. The energy reacts to him instead. Han freezes, staring at his own hands, stunned. Something is changing. Blue light eats away at Shay's body as she starts dissolving into pixels. Han panics, shouting, asking why she's disappearing right in front of him. Shay looks calm, almost gentle. She tells him she wasn't chosen. That's all. No anger, no fear, just acceptance. Close up on her fading smile. She entrusts everything to Han, telling him she'll leave the rest to him as she vanishes completely. Han stands frozen in the quiet hall as the blue light fades away. Someone calls his name, and for a second, it feels like the dungeon itself is watching him. Close up on Han's face. His eyes widen, breath catching, like he knows something is wrong, but hasn't figured out what yet. Suddenly, a man screams in absolute terror as he's torn apart, blood spraying everywhere. The system message pops up cold and emotionless. Another hero is gone. Chaos explodes everywhere. Goblins rush in, weapons flying, people yelling to keep their guard up. Han barely has time to react as someone shouts that a monster is coming straight for him. A shield slams into the goblin just in time. Han grits his teeth, shocked but alive. He realizes it clearly now. He didn't win because he was strong. He survived because someone else stepped in. While dodging and clashing again, the truth hits him hard. Synthesis isn't some clean upgrade. You drag one hero onto another. Someone gets erased. Someone always pay. Han realizes how messed up this is. He survived only because Shay got sacrificed by her own master's mistake, and he's pissed. Of course, a garbage RNG game would pull something like this. He snaps back to reality and looks around. He handled one goblin, but the others are still out there, and innocent people are fighting for their lives. He doesn't have time to think anymore. A goblin lunges in from behind. Han roars and swings with everything he has, blade crashing forward as survival instinct fully takes over. He doesn't know how he got dragged to pick me up, but in the middle of the chaos, one truth locks in. This isn't a dream, and this isn't a mistake he can ignore. He accepts it. Han Yslat was summoned into this world as a disposable one-star hero. Han Yslat, weak, replaceable, and never meant to matter. The goblin lunges, rage exploding in its scream. And in that instant, fear snaps into fury. If this game wants him dead, then he'll tear it apart first. Right before everything went wrong, he remembers that thing clearly. The level 999 bug monster, grinning, laughing like it already knew how this would end. The realization hits hard. That wasn't just some random boss. That bastard dragged him into this world on purpose. That thing shows itself again. The level 999 bug monster. No doubt now. This wasn't random. It was watching, laughing. Whatever dragged Han Yslat into this world did it on purpose. Reality hits hard. The battlefield is quiet, bodies everywhere, broken weapons scattered in the dirt. Han drops to his knees, breathing ragged, finally feeling the weight of what just happened and what it cost. The red-haired girl rushes over, eyes wide when she notices his arm. Han brushes it off, forcing himself to stand. He says they'll deal with it later. Right now, surviving comes first. Han Yslat crashes down hard among broken weapons and bodies, lungs burning. The system explains it coldly in his head. Players don't fight. Heroes do. The world runs itself, like an autoplay nightmare with blood on it. He looks up and feels it. That massive eye in the sky, watching everything. Not judging, not helping, just observing like a god bored of its own creation. Han wipes blood from his face and laughs under his breath. Not relief, not sanity, something sharper. Is it fun? I used to play this game for fun. Crafting builds, planning routes, raising heroes, digging into hidden mechanics. Even when it got unfair, I never quit. I kept going. Now I'm inside it, bloodied, staring at the end game from the bottom. My eye locks in, fear burns off, and one thought stays clear. I survive, no matter what it takes. Han looks down at the training field and finally stops running from it. He accepts where he is, accepts the rules, and decides this isn't a game he can cry through anymore. He breaks into a sprint, body moving before fear can catch up. Inside Pick Me Up, he's not a player anymore. He's been reborn as a one-star hero, and hesitation is a luxury he doesn't have. Han clenches his fist and faces the truth head-on. Heroes here only die in two ways, in combat or by being combined. And as a one-star, he knows exactly how disposable he is. Han crashes forward, breath ragged, stats flashing in his head. 1 star. Trash growth. If he stays like this, he won't even survive long enough to be combined. His teeth grit as the fear turns into resolve. Survival first. Power next. Revenge later. If strength is the only answer, then he has no choice but to chase it. Han pushes himself harder, sprinting through the dungeon. Adapt or die. In Pick Me Up, hesitation doesn't kill you slowly. It erases you. He realizes brute strength isn't enough. If his head cracks under pressure, he's dead. Survival here means control, not panic. The memory hits hard. Back then, when everything went wrong, no parents, no protection, he still survived. Someone drills that lesson into him again. Don't forget how you lived through that. He drops to the floor and keeps moving anyway. Hands shaking, sweat dripping, but he pushes through it. This isn't training anymore. This is him forcing himself not to break. She walks in on him mid-training, sweat dripping, muscles shaking, and just straight up asks what he's doing. He freezes for half a second, caught between exhaustion and annoyance. He answers without even looking back. Training to kill monsters. Simple, blunt, no softness. She fires back, hurt and irritated, saying she literally went out of her way to find him. And this is how he talks? She goes quiet. No comeback. No lecture. Just a long pause as she looks at him, realizing he's not the same person from before anymore. She finally says it straight. She's been thinking all night, not panicking, not crying. If they can't leave, then standing still is the same as waiting to die. She picks up the bow and draws smoothly. Hunting wasn't new to her. It was muscle memory. She won't slow him down, and she's done being protected. The arrow flies. Clean release, steady aim. She admits it out loud. Doing nothing won't change anything. If this is their world now, then she's choosing to fight in it. She splits the wooden dummy clean in half. No hesitation, no wasted movement. Then she looks back at him and asks if he knows how to survive here. He admits yesterday was his first real fight. Says he usually stayed indoors. She fires back with a blunt question about his bow skills. He answers honestly. Just SOSO. The system screen pops up. Gemma Shirai, 1 star, novice archer. Beginner archery unlocked. Han watches in silence, already measuring how far behind they really are. He watches her draw the bow again, and this time it clicks. She didn't just survive yesterday. She learned from it. Her stats jumped fast. Her form's already tightening, and despite being a 1 star, she's moving like someone who knows where she's going. That kind of growth isn't normal. It's rare. He exhales, sweat dripping down his face, and lets the thought settle. She isn't scared anymore. She's already thinking ahead, already planning her next step. In a game where most heroes break or stagnate, that mindset alone makes her dangerous. That's when he decides it. She turns, smiles, and reaches out without hesitation. Not asking for protection, asking to move forward together. And in that moment, he knows this is the right call. If he wants to survive this world, this is the person he follows. She reaches out and asks him to take care of her. The system reacts instantly. Trust forms. A bond is created, and it's not subtle at all. Han snaps back to reality and shouts Isel's name, panicking when she doesn't respond. For a split second, he thinks something went wrong again. Before he can process it, Isel crashes down in front of him, loud and dramatic as always. She complains, scolds him for yelling, and makes it clear she's already busy doing her own thing. Isel snaps back like she's done explaining. She tells him straight up that she's not giving answers. If he's that curious, climb the tower. Everything he wants to know is up there. She casually drops a bomb. She can see his status screen. Not just that, she clearly reads it out loud. Level 257. And from her reaction, that is very much not normal. Han goes quiet. Watching her reactions, it clicks. He's different. He's the only one who can see the system messages. The only one who can see the master's messages too. Whatever he is now, this world isn't treating him like a normal hero anymore. Han straight up asks the question everyone's avoiding. What happens if the master quits the game? Isel dodges it hard, saying all she could do is hope they don't. No reassurance. No backup plan. Just vibes and prayer. Han pieces it together on his own. A 4-star hero getting combined with a 1-star should have been impossible. The odds were basically non-existent. That means what happened to Shay wasn't fate, it was a system screw-up. And worse, the master hasn't logged in for a whole week. Han wonders if time works differently here compared to Earth. Before he can think it through, Isel snaps at him to stop asking questions. She knows more than she's saying, and that silence feels way more dangerous than any monster. Han starts putting the pieces together fast. Time here moves differently, and he's already planning to use that to his advantage. He thanks Yslat sarcastically, clearly filing everything away for later. Yslat snaps back hard. She can't touch him directly, can't interfere unless it's self-defense or the master rejects her. She makes it clear this world runs on brutal rules, and if Han doesn't adapt, he dies. No exceptions. Jenna cuts in, confused and left out of the weird tension. Han turns to her and drops it plainly. No sugarcoating. If they want answers or a way out, they're going to have to climb a 100-floor tower. Han lays out calmly. There's a master above them, giving orders through Yslat. The only way out is simple and brutal. Follow the missions, climb the tower, get stronger. Reach the 100th floor, and freedom becomes possible. Training isn't optional anymore. Jenna hesitates and voices the real fear. Can just the two of them really survive this? Han answers honestly. The master can spend money to summon more people. A lot more. They're not special, just early. The camera pulls back. The sky feels artificial, pressing down on them. Han realizes the truth out loud. No matter how hard they fight, how smart they play, their lives ultimately hinge on the master's choices. And that's the most dangerous part of this world. A full day passes. Training, eating, resting. Han starts noticing something weird about this world. Supplies refill on their own, and if he wants something simple, it just shows up the next day. Not weapons, not cheats, but daily survival stuff. The game is quietly taking care of them. Back by the fireplace, it clicks. This world runs on rules, not convenience. Training actually matters here. The things that never made sense when he played Pick Me Up as a game now start lining up, especially why heroes of the same rank could feel completely different in combat. That's when the realization hits hard. Same stars don't mean same strength. Growth paths matter. Skills matter. How you train matters. Back when he played, he ignored it. Now that he's inside the game, those old mechanics aren't trivia anymore. They're survival rules. Han finally connects the dots. Training was never about stats or levels. It was about control, focus, staying calm when everything is falling apart. He understands how masters judge heroes. Anyone who panics or loses their head gets discarded instantly. Mental strength comes first always. Then come skills. High-rank heroes show there's up front. Low-rank ones hide theirs by default. And unless someone proves their worth, the master never bothers to look. He locks in on physique. No shortcuts, no excuses. This body has to survive first before anything else matters. 3 days pass in a blink, and the system wakes up. The master finally connects. The real game is starting. He clenches his fist, already feeling the results of non-stop training, and warns Jenna to brace herself. 3 days is more than enough when death is the teacher. The system message drops. Han stays calm and explains it straight. A party caps at 5, so the master is pulling 3 more people. That clicking sound means the summon already started. 3 strangers appear at once. Panic hits immediately. One shouts, one freezes, one looks completely lost. Han clocks their reactions fast and already knows what kind of mess this is going to be. Before fear spirals, Jenna steps in and takes control. She tells them to get ready and promises explanations after they survive. Han turns away, already preparing for what's about to come next. The space twists open above them as Yslat rips reality apart, a glowing rift tearing down from the sky. The air shakes, light floods the plaza, and everyone freezes, knowing something bad is about to come through. Han snaps into command mode instantly, yelling at Jenna to grab a weapon before it's too late. She doesn't hesitate, locking in with a sharp answer as the tension spikes and the newcomers panic behind them. More people pour in, shouting, confused, demanding answers and begging to be sent back. Han grips a sword, eyes cold, already reading the situation while the crowd loses control and the real fight inches closer. The 2 newcomers panic and start yelling at Han and Jenna, accusing them of dragging everyone here. Han doesn't even bother turning around. He stays calm, basically saying they're just extra work and will be dealt with soon anyway. Yslat snaps. In one clean move, she drops the loud ones to the ground. One guy sprawls out, another groans. The blonde dude curls up apologizing. Total shutdown. She tells him to shut up and listen. Behind her, the space-time rift fully opens. Light tears the air apart as Yslat floats straight into the gate, unfazed. The real fight is about to start. Yslat pops out of the glitching rift, smiling like this is all a game, waving goodbye and telling them to have fun while the space around her breaks apart. In a blink, the whole group gets dropped into a glowing barrier formation, everyone snapping into battle stances as the teleport finishes and the arena locks them in. Reality hits. The older men panic and shout, completely lost, while Han steps in front with a shield and yells for Jenna to get ready. She answers back, forcing herself to focus as the fight is about to start. The wolves rush in at once. Red names, glowing eyes, way too fast. Panic hits the group instantly, and you can feel the pressure spike. The older guys freeze up completely, screaming and backing away. Jenna stiffens too, and the system hits her with a fear debuff right when it matters most. Han clocks it immediately. This isn't just about fighting monsters. If their minds break first, they're already dead. Han steps in front without hesitation, shield up, voice calm. He splits the fight instantly. Jenna handles the two goblins. He takes the wolf's head on like it's already decided. Jenna snaps out of it. She grits her teeth, draws her bow, and steadies her breathing. The panic fades. She nods and moves, trusting him. Han glances back for half a second, already reading the field. The other newcomers are useless, exactly as expected. This fight is on him and Jenna. And that's enough. The wolves rush in all at once. Han raises the shield just in time, bracing his feet as claws and fangs slam into it from every direction. One wolf lunges straight for his face, jaws wide. Han snaps his head up, eyes locked, adrenaline spiking as he shouts and twists his body. He counters hard. Using the shield's momentum, Han drives forward and smashes the wolf mid-leap, sending it flying back with a brutal impact. Han twists his body mid-motion, eyes sharp despite the blood flying. The hit didn't land right. The weapon's trash, but the wolf is still breathing. He realizes it instantly and adjusts. No hesitation. He grips tighter, muscles screaming, and forces the weapon down again. This time he commits, putting everything into the strike. The blow finally connects clean. The wolf's body jerks, blood spraying as Han finishes it off. One enemy down. He counts it without emotion.